My name is Ray. I'm a researcher at Ref.finance. I'm with Max here, who's a developer. Max, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Max and a front-end engineer of Ref.finance. Yeah.
Yeah, so our topic today will be primarily focusing on Ref.v2 as the SDK. So, just a quick overview of like what is Ref, right? Ref is the leading DEX on Near. And some of the existing features on Ref current v1 is the ability to trade with our automated market makers exchange, the ability to provide liquidity and earn revenue on swap feeds, and also the ability to stake LP's token into farms and then earn additional reward in the protocol tokens as well as Ref tokens in return. Boosted farm where you can stake your tokens to get boosted incentive on multiple farms, as well as staking and earning Ref tokens from fees generated from the protocol. And finally, the ability to vote in the Ref DAO governance by using your Ref token. So some really quick high-level metrics and statistic for Ref.finance is that we have accumulated 2 billion plus trading volume to date. And at all-time high, we had 270 million total value lock. And finally, as well as 80K unique wallet address users. So looking at the chart on the right, let's take a look at DeFi Llama, right? It's not a joke that we are not only the leading DEX, but we're the leading DeFi protocol on Near. We have, as you can see on the right, we have 75.41% market dominance. So it's pretty huge. Ref.finance have a quite big of an impact to the Near DeFi ecosystem. So that sounds impressive already, right? But actually there's more. So for our upcoming Ref.v2 release, we have introduced additional features and design based on our AMM. So first, we will introduce discretized concentrated liquidity, also known as DLAMM. In addition, we have concentrated liquidity. For those who are familiar with Uniswap v3, that is essentially kind of the similar idea. But in addition to that, we also have additional features such as the ability to place limit order, which in turn means lower slippage for traders, and as well as higher capital efficiencies for LP. And in addition to all these amazing features on Ref.v2, we will be having the SDK built on top of all of these. So let's really quickly talk about what is Ref.v2, right? So we will essentially summarize it as the next generation of trading. So we partner with Izumi Finance and Arctic. We would like to introduce you discretized concentrated liquidity AMM on Uniswap on Ref.v2, a new AMM algorithm that further improves the Uniswap v3 concentrated liquidity. So what is DLAMM? DLAMM is essentially a synthetic continuous constant product curve with discretized constant sum formula. What does that actually kind of mean on a high level, right? If you look at the graph on the right, we have x times y is equal to k. That is essentially the typical constant product formula. But DLAMM takes us a whole new level by actually doing discrete bins. But in a way you can think about it is essentially discretizing the entire constant product formula into piecewise constant function, straight lines. So you might ask, why is that important? Why do you want to do that? By doing that, some of the key design features that is able to be extracted is the ability to incorporate limit order, which again, in turns mean lower slippage or even zero slippage with market and limit orders. And in addition, converting the ticks into bins. So what are the key benefits of DLAMM and improvements upon Uniswap v3? So first, it's the ability to additionally add liquidity into the pool in the meantime of reducing slippage. Second, there's no price limitation for placing limit orders. And third, the ability to place limit order is critical, I believe, in the future of trading. And finally, we have a very unique fee structure for our LPs. For the swappers, their incentive is to trade. So essentially, they can get a lower slippage. B, we have concentrated LPs, which will be generating additional capital efficiency fees generated from the protocol. And C, the ability to place limit orders. For those traders who are willing to place limit order, they will also be getting their fees with respect to that. So why should you care, right? I talked about a lot of AMMs, and what does it matter for you, right? So first, we have concentrated liquidity providers. Compared to V1, it enables you to have higher capital efficiency for maximum transaction fee generation. In addition, you also receive additional fee generated from those limit order trades, which did not exist in V1 or any other AMM at the moment. For the traders, you have the ability to place limit order at zero slippage, as well as market order at low or even zero slippage. Now, I'd like to pass on to Max to discuss about the SDK.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So currently there will be a few features in my SDK which will integrate all the current functions in the Ref UI, but currently we just integrated the first one feature, that's trade. That's only a swap feature, but 0.2 to 0.6 will be listed in our to-dos in 2023. So okay, today I'm going to introduce some features of the trade. So there's almost four features I'm going to introduce: the swap market order, and place limit order, and how to check my account orders and cancel my limit order. Okay, let's go to my VS Code. So this is my
So the first step, we need to open our terminal, and we need to clone our source code, which is stored in this GitHub repo. So let's go to this folder. Then let's open it in our VS Code editor. Well, the script is based on JavaScript, so I have set up the demo script, which is totally based on linear testnet, and I have and there's a few dependencies. And the first step, we needed to use Yarn to install all the dependencies. So I think the installation is done, and then we can check out all the functions in this demo.js, where I imported all the functions from Ref.finance SDK.
And I have set up my npm environment, and I have imported several functions in my SDK, and I have set up my script demo. The demo is totally based on near testnet, and I have imported the newly published Ref.finance SDK. So sorry. First of all, I think we needed to check the available pools in our DCL contract. So first of all, I'd like to list the pools of all the available pools of the DCL contract. So I just used the list DCL pool function from my Ref.finance SDK. So first of all, let me check the available pools. Okay, let me run the script. So as you can see, there are a few available pools which state is running, and I'd like to choose this one to to let me swap on. So based on this pool, I've set up a few global variables. That is token in ID. I'd like to choose USDC and token out ID to Aurora. And for the pool fee, I choose 2,000, which means we will charge it to 0.2% to our DCL contract. And I set the input amount to be 1. Then I use the DCL pool ID function from Ref SDK to generate the right format of the pool ID. And I set up a pool IDs and my account ID, which is my testnet account. And we also needed the key pass, which stores your private key and your public key in your local environment. We needed to use near client to log in and imported your private key and public key from near wallet. So let me connect to my wallet. So I think I successfully log in the my testnet account, and I have stored its private key and public key into my local environment. So this is the default key pass of your account keys. So so after I the first feature, that's to swap on market price. So first of all, I'd like to check the balance before swap. Check my I have to this function, I have got the token metadata of Aurora by this function from Ref SDK, and I called FT get balance function from Ref SDK to get this my balance of Aurora, and then I transferred it to a readable number to see the readable number of my balance, and as well as Aurora the USDC. For the USDC, I got the token metadata and the balance of it, and then I transferred it to a readable number. So let's back to swap market price. And then before swap, I'd like also to quote amount out, which means I call quote function from Ref SDK. I put input IDs, input the token, input amount, output the token, to got expected amount out, and then I transferred it to a readable number. So then we need to get the payload of transactions, which I use a DCL swap function. The parameter one, that's to swap info. I put a token metadata A, token metadata B, and my input amount. So, and the parameter two, that is swap. Here I put main output amount to be 0 to avoid any slippage error. And the put, and I put the put IDs, and the second parameter, that's my account ID. So after I got the payload, but the payload is not still sent to near testnet. So for this function, from the first step of this function, I need to got the signed transactions, which I used to get a signed transaction by memory key from Ref SDK. So after I signed the transaction, I need to send it to near wallet, to near testnet. So I use the standard transactions by memory key to send these transactions to near testnet. So okay, after I sign and send these transactions, the last step is to check the balance to see if any balance happened, to see if the transaction is successful. So okay, let me run the script. So I got my balance of Aurora, balance of USDC, and the transaction is sent. So as I can see, this is a successful transaction. My balance of USDC got 1 decrement, and balance of Aurora got almost 4.8 increment. So I think it's a successful transaction. So let me introduce the how to place limit order. The first step is also to check balance, and the second step, I'd like to list the active order before I place the new one. So let me check this function. So for this function, I just use this list active orders function from imported from my Ref SDK. I got the orders, and then I'd like to generate the payload also by DCL swap function. I put swap info, and for the second parameter, I use the limit order with the swap. I put pull IDs, which I set in as a global variable, and I set output amount to be 5.5, which is a little higher than the market price. So next is to sign and send transactions and check balance, and list my active orders after I place the new one. So I think we're ready, so we can run the script. So I got my balance of Aura and USDC. So as we can see, before I send the orders, there's no active orders in my account. So after I send the transaction, there's a new active order generated. There's order ID, owner ID, and puller ID. The point is noted as a price in the DCL account. So I put my original deposit amount to be one USDC, and because of the price higher than the market price, so we will the order will not taken will not be swapped. So swap earned amount to be 0, and the original amount that's the amount that we put in the order. The cancel amount to be 0, and the remaining amount to be 1 USDC. Okay, so after we put the we place the limit order. So let me show how to cancel the order. The input parameter of the cancel order, that's the order ID. Okay, let me copy the order ID here. In this function, I just use the cancel order function from Ref SDK, and I got a payload, and then I sign and send these transactions to near testnet. So after that, I'd like to list my active orders. So let me run the script again. Okay, I think my order is canceled. But where did it go? I think we can check it in our list, in our history orders. That will check the history orders in our account. I imported the list here, history orders from Ref SDK. So we can run the script and check my history orders. So as we can see, there are several history orders in my account, and we found the order ID, and that's what we have just canceled. Okay, I think that's all. That's just a few basic features of the SDK of Ref v2. Yeah.
So like what are some applications that you see using like the Ref v2 SDK, or maybe examples of DeFi apps or things you would like to see coming up to like Eat Denver to build on Ref? You guys have any kind of ideas of what that would look like?
Yeah. Max, do you want to say anything?
Yeah. You first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I think some good starting point would be kind of integrating just like I'm not sure if Max had a chance to demo, but we do have this kind of simple widget UI that you can incorporate into your app. So if, for instance, to be honest, any DeFi protocol, let's just use like Near Wallet, for example. If you have like a wallet, like any Near wallet, and the protocol itself wants to have the ability to kind of have in-app swap features, just like, I'm not sure if you're familiar on MetaMask, there's this in-app swap features. This can be done with the SDK, where you can essentially kind of just clone the GitHub repo, work with the SDK that Max has mentioned, and then kind of have in-app swap feature. Essentially, I'm not sure if Max, you can pull it out right now, but essentially you can have like a little window in your app that will be routed directly to the underlying AMM on Ref. So that will be much better user experience for those who just want to kind of stick with the wallet and don't want to go to Ref website and do a swap. They can just do it all in the wallet. That's one application. And other ones are like auto compounding, where you essentially provide liquidity and you just want to keep kind of adding additional liquidity into the LP to generate additional compounding yield. And this can also be done with the Ref SDK.
I was wondering if you guys had anything on like Near Social, or any plans for is this a swap widget you were mentioning? I'm sharing my screen. But yeah, do you guys have any plans for like Near Social widget, or like putting more Ref functionality on like decentralized front ends, or is that something that you guys are pushing developers to? Or
Yeah. I mean, in terms of decentralized front end, again, we do have this SDK where any like users at this given point in time can literally just go to the GitHub repo and clone it and then run their own front end. And I think that is especially critical for apps that are region restrictive. Fortunately, Ref doesn't have the issue at the time, but I know other protocols on Near, some of which have like region restriction, where kind of having this SDK for having I'm not sure if it's called like decentralized front end, but essentially the ability to kind of run a front end on your own local laptop. This can also be done with the SDK.
awesome. And then, like who's currently building with the Ref SDK? Like what protocols on Near right now are using it? I know some wallets have swaps already built in. Can you kind of outline the current landscape so people can check for like reference?
Yeah, so we're currently kind of talking and working with some existing protocol. I don't think, I'm not sure, if they hope to be revealed yet at the moment, but we do have some very interesting and exciting partnership that we're working with to further kind of enhance the liquidity aspect of Ref and as well as the stickiness on their application.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, does anyone else have any questions, or you guys want to have any kind of final comments? You guys are gonna be at Denver, so yeah, like what do you have any kind of insight on like the future of Ref, like the V3 SDK, or like anything for people to anticipate?
Yeah. Really quick thing, Max, are you able to you can feel free to stop sharing, but are you able to pull up like an example of like the widget that you can just run on your local laptop that you can just show everyone?
So do you mean
Like the UI, like a local UI.
yes, we do have
Yeah. Do you mind like
online.
just spinning it up while I can just answer the questions first, if you can just feel free to screen share once you have it. But sorry, going back to your question, future plan of Ref. So I think there's a few things, one, and of course, the most important thing for Ref is to continue to be kind of the medium of exchange for Near. As you may have noticed, Ref is the biggest, but that does not mean that's the end. Being the first doesn't really mean anything. We will continue to grow with Near to further enhance the user experience, in addition to liquidity, be it on the LP side or on the trading side. Now, how we will exactly do that? So, with the introduction of Ref T2, that definitely does a big boost in terms of liquidity providing. But the other thing is also kind of just having more and more partner protocols for farming incentive and adding additional pools for Ref. So this allows additional tokens to be traded aside from just major like well-known tokens such as USDC, USDT, Near, and so on and so forth. In addition, we have been having discussions internally about the potential to start a kind of extension of Ref beyond just being an AMM. So more specifically, one thing that we have been looking into and might announce publicly soon is working with a lending protocol. So what does that mean exactly? We have plans to release a money market on Ref to further enhance the trading experience for traders, especially for those who are interested in doing margin or leverage trading. So if you imagine a simple lending protocol where you can borrow and lend, essentially you can, margin or kind of leverage your position by doing, recursive lending and borrowing. And this can be done with kind of a lending protocol integrated with Ref. In addition to that, having different collateral as borrowing asset will be critical. So if you may imagine, I think currently for those who are just doing LPs on Ref, they're earning a specific like APR, for example, when they deposit their LP to farm, but it isn't really doing much aside from just kind of generating the APR, right? So wouldn't it be nice if you can kind of maybe use these LP as collateral to borrow USDC at a lower interest rate to kind of facilitate whatever trade you want to do. At the end of the day, our goal is to not only increase liquidity on Ref, but also increase liquidity and money market on Near as a whole. And I think Max here has a widget showing. So essentially, if you can take a look here, this is a widget that's already available on the Ref SDK. Users can essentially come in here and decide what they want to swap, and yeah, so you can kind of have this incorporate it into any apps. So
it is how we can set up a Ref swap widget, which is a swap component based on Ref SDK. Well, the first step, we need to open our terminal, and we need to clone GitHub repo, which is this adjust. So let's run it. Well, let's wait a moment. Okay, I think it's done, and we need to go to this folder, Ref SDK test. Then we need to check out a new branch, which is based on origin demo branch. So next step, let's open the folder on our VS Code. So as we can see, the package is totally based on near npm environment, and I have set up a few scripts to run this project. So I think the first step we need to use yarn to install all the dependencies. So let's run it. Well, the entry of the all code is in the source and views and content.tsx, which is the entry of the project. So I imported the swap widget component from Ref.finance SDK, which is a React component. Then we can set up few attributes on it, and it's easily set up a swap component. So I think all the dependencies installed, and then we can run the project based on our script. Let's run it on near testnet. So as we can see, this is a component based on Ref SDK, which is totally based on swap widget, this function component, and it's just a simple version of Ref UI in a swap page in the Ref UI. So we can choose the tokens, and then we can change the support ledger from false to be true. So I think it's loading. So let's change the support ledger button from false to true. Okay, and we can see the smart routing feature. Let's change another token. And we can show the auto router. So that's all. I think any DApps can import our it can install the ReFi SDK component, ReFi SDK package, and import the swap widget, and you can easily set up a swap feature. So this is the demo code of how to set up a swap component based on ReFi SDK. Thanks.